Okay, so you obviously probably know what a cover letter is. Well, I'll just go through it anyway. So it's a form of a letter that is attached to your CV to support your CV for when you're applying for a role. I won't stay on that for too long because it seems like you already know what a cover letter is because you're looking to kind of write one to support with your job application. Okay, so can you list in the chat, or if you've got any ideas of what the aim of a cover letter is, Lawrence, just so we can kind of understand if you've got a bit of understanding and knowledge on them.
To show you why you personally want a certain job.
Yeah, definitely. So it can be used to demonstrate your uniqueness. It's obviously more of a
less about showing your skills. Is this for the CV?
yeah, definitely. I totally agree on that one as well. So yeah, like you said with the skills, it definitely can show your uniqueness. Also allows you to show your enthusiasm for the role. As a CV actually doesn't really do that. You can show your enthusiasm. And it also enables the employer to understand how you could bring value to the position you're applying for. So it's basically to sell yourself. So within this cover letter, you can kind of include everything about yourself that you can't include in a CV. So it's basically a second opportunity to sell yourself to this employer of why you want to kind of get that role, and it could like cover letters are really good for that. So yeah, so that's the aim of a cover letter. So let's go through the truth of writing a cover letter then. So in here, there's a few sentences that I'm going to go through and read out, and then I want you to put in the chat of each one whether you think that sentence about cover letters is true or false. So let's go. So every cover letter should have 3 main thoughts. Do you think that's true or false? And Max, you can get involved as well, and Monica.
3 main thoughts. What do you
Yeah.
mean by that?
So the kind of structure of the cover letter.
Oh,
So
like 3
your
paragraphs, you
yeah,
mean?
3 paragraphs, it should
Right,
say.
yeah.
True.
Oh.
Yep. What's up in there?
To be fair, like, I don't know, that's a hard one, isn't it?
Not sure.
No, you're not sure?
I was going to
Okay.
say, you could kind of have 3, you could have 4.
Yeah. Well, you could. I mean, it's true. And we can go through that a little bit more on why it's true in a second, because we've got a slide on it. But it's basically just, it's probably not worded right. It's more about the layout of a cover letter and what it needs to include. So we'll go through more about that in a second. So well done, Lawrence, for that as well. She got that right. So one good cover letter will work for every employer. So when you're applying for a role, you only need one cover letter and you can send that out to every kind of employer for the job that you're applying for.
False.
False.
I agree.
Agree.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah. So, yeah, false. You're right, because obviously some people do make the mistakes of writing a good cover letter that actually is more supportive to a role. Let's say if you're applying to be a nurse, you'll list different skills that you are to become a mechanic, let's say. I mean, it's that simple. You can't kind of send one out to every employer because it doesn't show the effort, and it doesn't show the kind of the enthusiasm of why you want that specific role. It will just mention like a very lack of information on that role. You want to kind of be heart to heart with these employers on your cover letter. So yeah, well done, that's false. Okay, so a cover letter should convey your personality, style and taste.
Very quick off the mark there. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think true.
Yeah, well done again, guys. Yeah, it's definitely true. It should definitely, put everything in there that you want to sell yourself about, your personality, your style and your taste of everything. Just sell yourself. If you've got those skills and you've got the personality for the role, then mention why, and it will really get catch the eye of the employer. Okay, so employers don't expect perfection. A typo in your cover letter isn't a sufficient reason to reject your CV or application. So if you've got a typo in there, what do you think? False?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say false as well.
I'd say true.
Ooh.
I'd say true. Shouldn't have spelling mistakes.
True. Do you think true, Monica?
Yeah, I think you shouldn't have any spelling mistakes in there.
So it is false.
I think it depends on the employer, though, I suppose.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I think some are very picky about that and probably won't, but it also depends on the role. So let's say you was applying to be an English teacher and there's a typo in your cover letter and your CV. I think they are going to reject the application because they will be teaching that to students, and if they can't show that they're capable enough to do that in their own work, then never mind their students' work. So I think it does depend how fussy and how big the typo is, but always just make sure that you double check on your cover letter and you've not got any typos or anything, and your grammar's all correct, because at the end of the day, this is, off your own back and you've got to sell yourself. Okay, so let's have a kind of chat about what you think makes the perfect cover letter. So Lawrence, if you want to listen in the chat, and Max or Monica, if you want to also kind of say your thoughts on what you think makes the perfect cover letter, then happily go ahead.
I think it's got to be, adapted to the company that you're applying for, definitely. And the thing is that it's got to go kind of beyond your CV, hasn't it? Because your CV is just like your skills and stuff, and then your cover letter is a bit more like in depth, so explaining maybe some specific examples that you might use if you were to get into an interview or something like that, and definitely reasons like why you want to work for that particular company.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with that.
Showing your uniqueness, adapted for who you want to work for, and show personally why you really want the job there and why the specialist is suitable and special for you.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, definitely. I think, Lawrence, you've got quite good knowledge on the basics and what makes a good cover letter. There's no such thing as a perfect cover letter. Just like there isn't for a CV or a job application, there's just no such thing. You want to get it as best as you can possibly get it, because everyone's different and everyone's got different skills. So yeah, definitely, I think if you mention all of those things in your cover letter, it will be a strong and good cover letter, and it should stand out to the employer. So yeah, brilliant. Thanks for that. So the top 5 golden rules then, to back up what we've just said, to write in a cover letter, is make sure you do your research on kind of the job you're applying for. You want to make it personal. I mean, you want to, when you write your cover letter, you want to make sure that you know what that role is and what the people that you're applying for, the employers, what their role is as well. Because if you show that you kind of know what they're looking for and add in the kind of stats and figures of what they're looking for, then, be full on, and that will catch the employer's eyes, because you've done your research on your job, you've done your due diligence. That's probably what you need to do, just so that employers know that you're interested. It shows interest. So yeah, again, so try limit your cover letter to 1 to 3 pages, one page and 3 to 4 paragraphs. That's it. So yeah, I think it can be more than 4 paragraphs. I think just make sure it is 1 page, just because people don't like reading. No one likes reading. Like, if it's more than 2 pages, people just think it's a lot of writing, it's all bullshit up, and I don't really want to read it. If you make it eye-catching on 1 page and put everything you need in that 1 page, then you're good. So keep a logical format. Has anyone on here heard of the hook, book and tuck method? Lawrence, if you just want to put in the chat as well if you've ever heard of that method.
Yeah. No,
Can't say that I have. What did
No.
you think, Monica? Sorry.
I've not heard of it.
No. No one's heard of it, Alea. Teach us.
No one's heard of it. Okay, so the hook is a kind of reason of why you want the role. So you hook it on. Okay, why do you want that role? The book is a kind of argument of why you should be hired. And a talk is what you want to happen as a result of an employer reading your letter. So why do you want that employer to read your letter? You've always got to remember the hook, book and talk. And I can send that out to you as well after, Lawrence, to always remember of why you want that sort of employer to read your cover letter, an argument of why you should have that role, and a kind of reason of why you should have that role as well. So it includes 3 things. So keep that format. It's sort of like the why it's the three kind of main things that you should be focused on. But we can speak a bit more about the layout in a second. I've said this before, be personal. So when you first start your cover letter at the top, it should always be to someone. So if you've got the person's name that you send in the cover letter to, the employer of who's hiring, then try and make it either Mr., Miss or Mrs. To make it personal, and it shows that then you've done your research, and don't just put, you know, hi there or hey, like, just you want to make it personal, and make it look the part. I think this is very basic. You probably know that because you've got to type it up, plain white paper and a professional layout. We can talk about more of a professional layout in a minute, but you always want to type it up, and I think it makes it look more professional, for definite. So that's the top 5 golden rules. It's all kind of, you can all make sure that you remember it.
A couple of things as well.
Yeah, you can definitely add a couple of things, Max.
So, like, obviously, I'm sure that everyone's kind of aware, but it's obviously a formal document. So with regards to like bringing across your personality and stuff, just remember who you're talking to, like, because as much as you want to bring out your personality and your energy, you got to keep it formal as well. You can't just, you know, talk like you're speaking to a friend or like start using slang or anything like that. It's a formal document. You want it to come across in the right way to a potential employer. You know, treat it a bit like an interview in, you know, greeting people formally, using formal language, like no abbreviations of words like yeah to YH or anything like that. You know, you want to keep it concise and formal. And as well, with your cover letter and kind of, I guess, with the CV and the cover letter, if you have them, both of them combined, if you have like all of your knowledge and your skills and stuff on there, you should be able to tick off everything on the job description and the person specification. So obviously then you're covering all of the bases that the employer is looking for. Because if you're writing on your if you're writing on your cover letter and you've covered like the main skills which the employer is looking for, you're going to stand out as opposed to someone who hasn't. So like definitely when you're writing your cover letter and your CV, I'd do it kind of with the job description and person's specification next to you, so that as you've kind of written about something, you can tick it off and say, yeah, I've done that. And that helps you to personalize each one to that particular role. It doesn't mean that you can't like have a particular kind of format or you can't have a template which you can use, but as you said, Alea, it's important that you adapt it to each particular one, and you can do that by kind of having the job description and person specification alongside that while you're doing your cover letter.
Yeah, definitely, Max. I really agree with that. I think it looks the part and it will catch the employer's eyes because you, at the end of the day, it shows your interest. So yeah, definitely. Okay, let's move on then. So on this one, I've got a template of good and bad cover letters. So if you want, I'm going to go through them and then we're going to discuss whether you think that's a good cover letter or a bad example of a cover letter. So yeah, let's go. So have a read of this cover letter and let's see what you think. Like, what do you think? Do you think it's a good cover letter? Have you got any feedback on it? Do you think it's bad? And Lawrence, again, you can list that in the chat, and anyone else can talk.
Bad because it's a bit too like a CV.
Bad? You think bad? What do you think, Max?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's not a great one. Like, yeah, I think as Lawrence said, it is very much like a CV. They've just literally listed
Yeah.
what they've got and how that meets the job application. I mean, granted, it's a page long, so they've met that part. They've addressed it well. It's kind of it's in the right kind of format, and it's personalised to the person. But yeah, I think there's a lot more that could be done, and it doesn't really kind of sell themselves.
But yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. Like Max said, I think it's a bit personal and to the employer and the job role. But again, like Lawrence and you said again, Max, it's listed the skills. It could have had more description, and be a bit more kind of on a personal level of why they have all their skills. So back it up a little bit with a bit of evidence sort of thing, because it is just brief and it's listed and it's okay. So let's move on. The next one. Okay, so there's this one. So if you want to have a look at this one and then let us know your thoughts. Yeah, it's definitely a negative one, and you can just see this person's attitude just by reading it.
That is a funny cover letter.
It is definitely a funny one, but their attitude's just not good, is it?
It's almost like too personal though. Like it's kind of speaking to them like in a condescending manner.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not the sort of thing that you'd say to an employer, like especially that. I mean, to be fair to them, like that first paragraph, that first sentence has me hooked. So they've definitely got the hook bit because it made me want to read on, like like the cut to the chase bit. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, talking badly again about the other potential applicants. Yeah, definitely. I think if they're showing that, then how are they going to be able to work in a team? Because they're going to be around other people that are basically could be doing the same role. So definitely Lawrence.
I mean, like, because with job applications and everything like that, you're always told to be honest and not lie because you'll get found out. But I think this is a bit too honest. I think you can obviously don't lie on your CV or on your cover letter, but you don't want to be honest to this extent where it's condescending and you're kind of talking down to the person that you're like trying to get a job from. I mean, that's really never going to work out in your favor.
Yeah, definitely. I think this one makes the one before look good. So I think it's definitely, it's just too kind of, you can see their attitude. And so I think after seeing these two cover letters, you kind of can understand now of how much of an impact they actually have. Just because it's an opportunity for you to not only kind of paragraph why, like, to that employer of why you want that role and why you would be perfect for it. It just gives you that opportunity, that second opportunity to catch the employer's eye. But yeah, definitely. So I think that's all I've got for the templates. But I've also got later on I've got a good cover letter and what that looks like anyway. So you will be able to see what a cover letter is. I'm not just leaving you on two bad cover letters, by the way. So the structure of a cover letter then. So what do you think the kind of format of a cover letter should be? So what should start at the top and then what should go after then? How should you sort of lay it out, a cover letter? So if you want to list in the chat, Lawrence, of your ideas and thoughts, and Max or Monica, if you want to get involved as well.
Is this like the hook book took thing, or is this something else?
So it's how it looks. So like a CV, you'll put at the start your contact details, etc., and then move on to your personal statement. But on a cover letter, what structure should that be? Because it's a little bit different, and how you lay it out is
I don't know. I think it's difficult, like, to structure it. I mean, I guess you almost want to structure it similar. Oh, like as in the actual cover letter itself.
Yeah, as in the
Oh,
actual
I see.
letter
I see. I
itself.
thought you
Yeah.
meant like the text.
Sorry. Yeah.
No. Well, obviously you need like the address and stuff of the employer at the top and whatnot, and I guess the date as well. Cause you kind of format it like a proper letter, don't you?
Yeah. It is like a proper letter. But if you're struggling on this one, then I've got a template. So there's the three main parts of a cover letter. Now, these are the three main parts. That's not to say that you can only do 3 paragraphs on this cover letter of them, including them things. So you've obviously got the introduction, the sales pitch, and the conclusion. So that's a bit of support there that you could always think in your head, what do you need in a cover letter? You know, you need the introduction. You need to sell yourself and why you're capable of doing this role. And then the conclusion after all, because it's what do you want out of it? You know, what's the conclusion? So that's the 3 main parts. And you can also add in other things of, you know, your skills and your motivations for applying and things like that, which can include in the sales pitch as well. So let me show you what the typical format actually looks like. And this is a good template to use. And if you want it, Lawrence, then we can definitely give it you. Okay, so this is just the basics of what a cover letter should look like. So as you can see at the top, and normally it would include the address or whatever if you need to post it. But if it's online, like I know probably it is most of the days, then probably not. Okay, so yeah, you've got to add the title. So always try find the hirer's name. Again, your potential manager, and a polite way of doing this, if you don't know, is obviously up there. There's simply the sir or madam. So definitely always list at the top, dear XYZ, and then also the kind of the introduction. So why you wish to apply for the role, where you kind of saw it promoted, and then we can move on to of kind of your sales pitch and then your conclusion. So I think this is a basic one, and I think if you're listing your own skills, then you know more about yourself personally, and you've got to show that you're confident enough to do this role, and also that you're confident of why you're applying for it. But yeah, as you can see, obviously there's the introduction of why they've applied, and then the skills, which is the sale pitch, and it could be more detail, and obviously this is just a template, but there's also kind of the conclusion as well of, well, it's very brief, but I look forward to meeting you and with you and discuss my application further. But also always use yours sincerely and or yours faithfully. It's up to you. But it gives you the option, obviously, to have your contact details in, and if you want to add your signature, then that's totally up to you. But this is just a kind of guide. The more detail you go into, the better. As long as it's on one page, then yeah, definitely add your own into it. Anything you want to add, Max?
I was going to say, like, we're obviously you can use templates and stuff. Don't be afraid to use templates, but I would just kind of make them your own a little bit. Like you can say similar things, and you can phrase it in like the same way, but kind of using different words. Just because, obviously, if hiring managers and stuff are going to get a lot of different cover letters and job descriptions every day, especially now considering how competitive the job market is for everything. There's so many people unemployed that you have to kind of stand out. So the difficulty with using a template is that the hiring manager, as you said, you've got to hook them from the very start. If everyone gets a template from Google, the hiring manager is going to read the first few lines and go, oh, I read that one earlier today. Whereas you kind of want to make it stand out, and you want to make it your own, and kind of use some words and vocabulary which is going to get the hiring manager to kind of read on. Because with anything, with CVs, with cover letters, and even interviews and in person, the first impression is really, really important. And like they'll probably skim over it. So if your cover letter looks the same as other people's, or if it kind of has very, very similar text and wording to that of other people, then it's unlikely to stand out and they might kind of blend into one. Whereas you want to kind of make yours stand out. So I'm not saying at all that don't use a template, because obviously that can give you the guide to structure yours, and then you can kind of go from there. But I would say definitely use it as a guide, but adapt it so that it's not like, because obviously on this particular example, you've got the blue text, which you would kind of change to your own skills and experiences. But I'd also kind of add to that to change the black wording as well, the wording in black, so that it's kind of, it reads differently to what the template says, just so that you stand a bit more like, again, it's a formal document. So with a CV, obviously you can make it stand out in terms of the layout, but it's a bit more challenging to do with a cover letter. And obviously you want to make sure it's the right font and stuff. So rather than layout to make yourself stand out with this, you've got to make yourself stand out with the content and the actual wording of things. So definitely use a template, but kind of adapt it.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you're using this template just to fill in the blue bits, then it's not going to get you anywhere. I think, like Mike said, you've got to make yourself stand out. Just use it as a guide. Definitely use it as a guide, and not how it's more for the layout and the structure of your cover letter, not for the information listed. So again, this is the kind of guide of how to make your cover letter stand out. Let's have a discussion, and I want to know your ideas and how do you think you can make your cover letter stand out? Now, we've covered a lot of how to do it. I want to know what you think, Lawrence, and anyone else, of how you think you can make it stand out. And I mean, we can help you write a cover letter anyway in the future, or when we can like book in our own session to do it, and support you on it if you're struggling to actually write it. This is more about how to write your cover letter and what should go into a cover letter.
I mean, I think while Lawrence is writing that, this is probably a good time to tell people, both Lawrence and also anyone watching retrospectively, that we do kind of run job clubs every week, 1 till 3. At the moment, these are virtual, so you can basically book in like a short hour long session with either one of Alea or I, and just kind of give you whatever employability support that you need for free. So whether that's going through your CV, whether that's going through your cover letter, whether that is helping you with interviews or getting you onto that next step, looking for jobs, whatever it is, like, you can kind of book in an appointment or a slot for free with us every Wednesday 1 till 3 or Thursday 1 till 3. But normally we kind of do those in Cockrave and Bingham. But yeah, at the moment, if anyone wants to do that, then you can drop us an email, and the details will be kind of in the video description. Or Lawrence, for your benefit, you can just let us know, and we can kind of help you through it one on one.
Yeah, because I know sometimes it's hard to put your thoughts onto paper and write it down and type it down of what your skills are, and you're analysing yourself really of why you're perfect for this role. And it's understandable. It is hard because you think, oh well, everything's in my CV, how am I going to kind of make it different to my CV without being repetitive? So I get that it's hard, and we can offer you that support anyway. So have we got any ideas then on how you can make your cover letter stand out?
Put unique personal experiences that make the letter more personal to each individual employer, something that would make them smile or laugh. Make sure all information that is needed for the job is present throughout both the CV and cover letter.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that, to be honest, Lawrence. I think when you say make them smile and laugh, that's a tricky one. You don't want to put a joke there what they actually don't get. You don't want to be a little bit cheesy, but yeah, definitely try show your attitude. you know, try to show your enthusiasm and your kind of your personality, for sure, definitely.
I would say that, yeah, personalise it, so yeah, like you say, it doesn't look like everyone else's.
Yeah, definitely, Monica. Max, what do you think?
Yeah, like I think I've kind of accidentally jumped the gun with this earlier. Kind of went through this in terms of like the language and stuff. You
Yeah,
know.
I was gonna say, you know, sort of gone through it anyway.
Yeah, like I mean, with like making an employer smile or laugh. To be fair, you know, I'm not sure they're looking at a cover letter to get a giggle out of it, but maybe you could I don't know, make their day or something. But I'd probably say, you know, a joke's probably not best for a cover letter, but I get what you're saying in terms of making put some personal experiences in there. In fact, I would say with your experiences, rather than trying to make them smile or laugh, I'd say make them more like excited or
Yeah,
surprised. You know, you want to, on your cover letter, you want someone to read it and go, wow, that they are amazing. I want to contact them right now, rather
yeah,
than like laugh. And, you know, obviously that's great, but yeah, you definitely want to aim to wow the employer rather than to kind of make them
yeah.
laugh. I think I get what I get what you were.
I get it. Sure. Okay. So there's a method on kind of how you can structure, well, not structure your CV, your cover letter, sorry, but and how what you can remember, how you remember to. I can't really say the sentence. That's what I'm trying to say at the moment.
How you can make it stand out.
How you make it stand out, that's it, and how it's structured and what should be included on it. So there is a method called cover, which we can go through now. So call out them. So call out leadership positions. So if you've had any positions that you've led or projects or things like that, call it out. Your relevant awards, your skills, put it as right at the beginning. So it's the kind of, you know, you can catch their eye straight away, so they want to read more. So definitely remember that. Call out. That's basically selling yourself. And I think this is a good method to remember everything that we've gone off with. So that's that. Off the stats. So to kind of, when you've, you know, worked previously, put in the stats of, you know, how, say if you was working in a project and they're doing, let's say they was doing a charity fundraising project and they was doing fundraising things, list that in there, you know, show them the stats that you've probably you got a hold of, you made people donate to charity and you know, you kind of, you've funded in, I don't know, £1,000, let's say you made £1,000 on a charity fundraising event, etc., things like that. For an example, that would be really good, and it will catch their eyes because it's also adding in the stats of what you've done previously. But I think it also depends on what role you've done in the past, because if it's like working in a supermarket or something, you might be able to do that. It just depends on how and with what, because I don't know, you don't want to put something basic like I stacked 2 shelves a day or something like that. You want to make it stand out. Of if you've ever achieved something big and you've got stats on how you've achieved that and what you achieved, then yeah, definitely show it, because they love to see that. So yeah, and then verify. So always use the appropriate name. So, you know, at the greeting of the cover letter, this is all like kind of repeating itself now because we've gone through it, but it's just a good method to remember on how to do that. So always be personal. Make sure you've put the manager's names in, or whoever you send in the cover letter to. So yeah, pretty basic on that. Okay, so always mention your skills and your strengths. So like this sentence here, which I like, I'm an expert communicator with experience bringing together diverse departments to develop a program. Okay, so that's not mentioning that you're a team player. It's you know, it's being more in depth and more detail as to how you can list those skills. Okay, and also refrain from repeating. So this is the last one of the cover. So don't repeat yourself. Form your CV onto your cover letter, like we've already mentioned. Make sure that it puts points into both, and it makes a fuller picture of who you are to the employer, because they're going to read both. They don't want to kind of see that it's repeating, because it's not giving you a second opportunity then to sell yourself. So yeah, that's how you can remember is cover. So that's all I have, but we can have a little bit of a discussion, or if anyone's got any questions. So Lawrence, I don't know what support you sort of looking for with you. Well, you've actually mentioned in the beginning, but what are you currently doing at the moment? Are you looking for roles daily, being like proactive, and do you have a specific role you want to apply for with a cover letter that you want to write?
So thanks very much for watching this cover letter workshop. Hopefully it was useful. If you have any questions which we've not covered, you can write them in the comments and we'll see if we can get them answered for you. And hopefully you'll join us for the next one.